What's up, guys? Welcome back to Stevenson for Irish Rugby, where we talk all things Irish Rugby related as we preview the big game between England versus Ireland at Twickenham Stadium this Saturday at 4:45. Just before the big Ulster versus Leinster game, which I'll have a preview out very soon on the channel as well. I'd like to welcome a special guest to help me preview this match. Me representing Irish, Stephen Stoffel, and representing England over here. We've got Rugby Geeks. How are you doing this?
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to Twickenham. Good to be here.
Oh yes. Oh no. I mean, 7-10 enemy territory, but oh yeah, it's gonna be. We just know when Ireland come to Twickenham, mate. It's a we never write the English off for a reason. You know what I mean? Even if they're going for a bit of a weird patch, you never write off Twickenham. You would think, yeah.
No, it's going to be a really interesting game. I've just been looking at the stats all day, just like trying to figure out which way it's going to go, and it's going to be one of those. It's either going to go stupidly close, and everybody's going to be twitchy bum time, or someone's going to run away with it. Probably Ireland, if we're honest. But it's got Humdinger written all over it.
Well, I know when you are as an Irish fan, we kind of been on this sort of run of form lately. You think because when we beat the All Blacks, it was like going back to the heights of 2018 where we celebrated like mad, and then what happened when the World Cup came? We didn't reach the semi-finals, which is typical of Irish. But we're just hoping that this is a different stage of the Irish, we're continuously planning for the World Cup. You know what I mean? And that we shouldn't really take any of this game kind of for granted. But just to be fair, and any kind of sort of game, if it's going to Murrayfield, it's going to Millennium, or even Twickenham, to be fair, you never write these games off. Like I like to get I think we'll get straight into this. I think what I'd like to ask you from a different perspective. First of all, from an English perspective, looking at an Irish perspective so far. Like what if you made of Ireland from where they were last year, finishing third in the Six Nations? So when they had they're probably their best ultimate internationals, in any sort of term when they beat the All Blacks, amongst that, and we look at this Ireland team now as this great team. We've got a lot more depth, in terms of what we've had before in the past, covering up nearly every position. And you think of the players who have injured that they can still get into this team so far. What if you made from Ireland from last year?
From last year to this year, I mean, the big thing. Oh no, are you still there? Hello. Oh no. Hello. I can hear you like intermittently, but your face is frozen. It's a beautiful image of your face. Are we live as well? Oh no.
I'm back. We're back.
We're back. Let's go. Okay, so what do I think of Ireland from last year to this year? So I think under Joe Smith, Ireland were like a really quality, solid side. And then they've gone through this transition phase with Farrell where he's tried to rewrite the rule book and it hasn't quite worked, but it's starting to come together now. And you can start to see that, those loop plays, that fast line speed in their defense it's all sort of paying dividends now. And now is the time that they want it to pay dividends. Six Nations, World Cup around the corner. This is where they sort of want to be in their transition period. So I think it's really good news for Ireland. Like you say, I think they've got a lot of depth and they've got a lot of stuff coming through. A little bit concerned about old Johnny Sexpest. He's signing his new contract. I don't think he's got the legs to get through another World Cup, if I'm honest. I think he's a little bit too injury prone now, and I think his heart's cashing checks that his body can't. Which is a shame because he's a phenomenal player, and you take nothing away from his playing career. He's going to be up there with O'Driscoll as one of Ireland's all-time greats. But I think he's probably past it now. He's probably on the tail end.
I think from where you're getting, I totally agree with you. I mean, but what I disagree upon, I think at the moment, not to say that Sexton's finished. I think at the moment, when I look at the fly half situation, what we think right now is that we've got no choice. Basically, we have no choice to put Sexton number 10. And the fact is,
like Carberry or Burns, haven't you?
Because here's the thing, when Carberry, yes, to be fair, he came on. He started against France, and to be fair, he was actually good. He was actually good, and we kind of all thought to ourselves, "Wow, what a good backup we got here in our hands." And until we saw like against Italy, he was doing things that weren't reaching up to the levels of what the fly half should be doing for Ireland's sake. Going forward in the team. And that's not to be fair. That's not to say if Carberry can still do it. I think Carberry still got a bit of time to do it. I think if you get from where I stand on the Sexton thing, and I do agree that I think giving them the contract to May 2023 was inevitable in our opinions because see the thing is when I look at the Carberry is going to have to get a lot of game time in my opinion in this Irish team. Like you can't favour Sexton too much. Like look at his age. He's 36 this year for the Six Nations. I mean, the last time I think a player 38 retired was Rory Best, and that was the last World Cup. And look how that ended. You know what I mean? It's I just hope Ireland don't go back as an Irish perspective. I hope we don't go back to this sort of way that it's all predictable and we play the same way and we reach the quarterfinal stage where we expect to win, but yeah, we don't. And yes, you can think that New Zealand was a tough task. We obviously couldn't get through. It was kind of a poor World Cup in the 2019, and from an English perspective, it was actually a good World Cup for England. So when you see the comparisons, and I don't know if you think, look at Eddie Jones, what he's done in the past. If he hasn't more to 6 stations this season, say for 2018, a year and a half later, he goes on to reach the World Cup World Cup final with a rebuild. Like, do you see this England team doing the same thing?
Yeah, I've talked about this at length because all the papers in England and the media and the social media is all geared around Eddie out and how bad a job Eddie's doing and things like this. For me, it's a cycle thing. You don't want to peak too soon. Like you don't want to show your whole hand 3 years out. So okay, last year, let's call it an experimental year if you like. We things changed, the style we play changed. Those sorts of things, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to. You're not going to change your muscle memory overnight. So, yeah, I think there's still legs in an Eddie Jones team. I think when he joins the English setup, a lot of the stuff he had and a lot of the early success he had was on the back of the hard work that Stuart Lancaster had put in, and he rode those coattails for a couple of years, and then realised, oh shit, I've got to figure something out for myself here. But I think we're building something slowly but surely. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get there.
Yeah, and further look at English teams. I know this season, I think think it wasn't the best performance against Wales. They still managed to get it over the line. I think Wales had a actually really good game, just unlucky. And I think when they played against Scotland, Scotland put up a bit of fight. But it's just a case of I was saying to my my folks as well. I would never write England off ever. Like no. I look at the World Cup in a year and a half, and I hope it's a similar thing. If Ireland were to go on and win a Six Nations say this season, and we had a similar route next season, but we end up failing, come back to that time. And but at least I know where England come from because I know England have I've got more sort of a depth. I don't know if depth will come into the play. I think Eddie Jones has got the depth on hopefully on the side in a year and a half. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Ireland and England shape up in a year and a half, in my opinion. Because I don't think as an Irishman we can judge everyone. I don't think even England should even judge, what a Six Nations does anymore. Is that the thing, mate? Do we judge Six Nations now going forward? Do we celebrate the Six Nations wins now? If it's a matter of case of trying to get to like a World Cup final or something like that, or reach the heights of a semi-final.
I think with the Six Nations, you have to look at it as a stop-start sort of scenario. You start the tournament and you're hopeful, and you end the tournament and you celebrate, and then you start your next chapter. Very much like you would in any team or league. You get to the end of 1 week and you're back at the bottom of the mountain. You've got to push that boulder back up the hill to get to your next Saturday. And I think you celebrate the wins, but you take nothing for granted. World rugby at the minute, the competition in the top 10 is phenomenally strong. And you're talking 1 or 2% between teams, and when you're in that scenario, it's anybody's day.
Yeah, exactly. And on a right, New Zealand or South Africa. So I think, and since the World Cup is going to potentially be in France, the France, and look at where the French are now, they could be the best side in the world. And the fact is that it's at their perch. It's going to be at their perch in a year and a half. And look, who knows where this French team is going to go in a year and a half's time. Like you said, there's many teams to be aware of, and it's that really sets up for an exciting World Cup. You know what I mean? And, I think that's for another day. So I want to like your side from an English perspective. Had this big game on Saturday.
Oh, I've lost you again.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Oh, you're back. Hello.
So, guys, just any of you guys wondering what happened there, connection problems, I'm trying to sort out, but we'll move. So, yeah, I think the way the England squad, how the England squad has gone so far, we're going into round 4 against this, against a big game against the Irish at Twickenham Stadium. I would like to firstly ask you, what have you made of this squad that Eddie Jones has put in? Like, you look at Marcus Smith, because we know, yes, Owen Farrell is injured, and I don't know if you expect him to start, but Marcus Smith has kind of come into the play for England, and and these other guys that they're coming in and they're starting to kind of rebuild for England, and you look at Marcus Smith as this good potential. Like, what have you made of the new players coming into England?
I think it's one that it's been coming, and the Lions thing sort of forced his hand a little bit. To cave to the media somewhat. I think Smith is probably 10% behind the international stage, if I'm honest. I think he's a phenomenal potential, ton of talent. But if you look at the way Harlequins play, Harlequins have spent 3 years building their whole playbook around Smith. And it's taken them a long time to get to a place where he's comfortable and they can play around him. If you look at past results, they've always been I say always, for the last 3 or 4 years until January last year, they've always been a sort of mid-table side. And then they blew everybody away at the end of last season when it all sort of just clicked. So for me, I mean, you're ignoring arguably the best 10 in the league in George Ford. I know that people don't like to watch him play, and there's a lot of dislike there for him, but I think he's one of the best 10s in the world at the minute. Should be in and around, but I think it's this whole media push that's got Smith in that shirt. Simmons again is another one that's been on that media bandwagon. He's a great player at club level for Exeter. He's phenomenal. Hasn't had the greatest season this year. But that's showing in the England camp as well. And I think he's just lacking that little bit of extra edge. Eddie's mentioned it a few times in not selecting him as a reason why. And it's coming to the forefront now. And we're seeing why maybe he's been left on the sidelines a little longer than we would have liked.
Yeah, it's mad to me how George Ford has been left out of the England squad. And yet, like you said, he could still be the best 10 in the world. That for me is kind of like, you want to build Marcus Smith, but you don't want to rush him in too much, if you get what I mean. But that's not to say if
Exactly.
if Owen Farrell is going to come back into the squad. I believe, and if you think Farrell is finished, like, I do still believe that Owen Farrell will still get into the England squad because Eddie Jones favours him as captain. But where do you stand on that going forward?
Well, I mean, I rate Farrell. Like, I know lots of people don't like him. I know he's like the pantomime villain of English rugby, but I rate him. I think he's a quality player. He's got an amazing boot. He's got a great rugby brain. You look at again the Lions tour. They had they asked the players to select their leadership group, and all of the players across all of the home nations were saying we want Owen Farrell in that leadership group. So it speaks for itself for when your peers are bigging you up as much as that. But I think he slots back into this side. I've got a leaked side for Saturday here for the English team, and you just push Slade out to 13 and Farrell back in at 12, and it's a pretty comfortable team.
I know it's like you said, it's for me it's like you said, Farrell can be a bit sort of iffy, but he's still like a great player, and.
We've gone again, right? I'm gonna fill the gap.
Totally agree.
Because
also, sorry, back again.
Back again.
Sorry about that, folks.
Are we live, by the way?
Oh yeah, we're live. We're still
Oh
watching.
God!
Still got viewer watching. Thank you very much, mate, for whoever you are, for watching the stream, and for everyone else potentially who watch stream after. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Really helps out the channel. So yeah, I think that leads on to the next question. I think focusing on the big game here. I think in your opinion, how do England line up against Ireland? In your opinion?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't got it from the Wales Online, but the reputable source isn't much better than the Wales Online, if I'm honest. But I've got a leaked team for Saturday, which is Genge, George, and Sinclair in the front row. Yours and Itoji in the second row. Laws captain at 6. Curry on the open side flank, and Simmons at 8. Randall and Smith in the halfbacks, Noel on the blind side wing, Slade and Marchant in the centres, Malin's on the open side wing, and Stewart at 15. I think that's a pretty fair assessment of where England stand at the minute.
Yeah, I think if you look from an Irish perspective, what we think about this English team, I think it's a really good chance for Ireland to go over to Twickenham and actually do something, if you get what I mean. Because what I would say from an Irish perspective is, if we really want to go forward with this anti-foul regime and we want to really push on to make it better than what the Joe Spinner is, then you have to go to Twickenham and actually do it. And you look at the France performance, recently, and we just came up short. Yeah, I think we lost, but we still put in a good performance. And yet people have been bandwagoning on about the Italy performance, and I'm just going, that's fair enough. But at the end of the day, it's Italy. Italy are gonna be crap, and they may put up a fight. But the reality is that doesn't judge me, in my opinion. I know these Irish lads, I know the English lads from these games will pick up their game straight away. So I think that's what makes it really exciting. I think what I would like to see from an Irish perspective is, I think if you're not aware, we got Andrew Porter out, unfortunately, from number 1. He's comes on number 1 shirt, and he's actually made it his own. So, but like, what I would go for is I would have Dave Kilcoyne in number 1. I would have Rob Perry number 2, and and 3 I would have Ty Furlong, obviously, because there's no brainer. And then 4 and 5 I go Henderson and Ryan. Number 6 I'm going for change. I'm going Ty Byrne. And then number 7, Josh Van der Fleer, and put Keelan Doris in number 8. I think Jack Conan for me says he's been doing okay, but he hasn't really lit up the world from his past performances. And I think this match against England really proves why Ty Burns should be number 6, so we can change it up. Because if you look at Ty Burns' performances recently, he's been turnover, he's been getting man of the matches from out of nowhere. I think if you have him, very much in the case of against an English team who are going to be really impactful in front of you, then you need to type Vernon, in the scene. I think it's a good experiment to try out. So I think 9 and 10 is sort of myself. It's going to be Gibson Park and Saxton. 11, I would have James Little come back into the side. He's only been brought in recently to the squad because he's come back from injury. I think he'll be number 11. I think number 12 and 13 will be Bundyaki and Gary Rose, in my opinion. 14, Andrew Conway, and then 15, Hugo Keenan. And if you guys wondering in the comments why I'm not putting Keane Healy on number 1 over Dale Coyne, because I just feel like I thought Keane Healy and Dan Sheehan were really good come off the bench before Andrew Boyd got injured, and I think Dave Kilcoyne and Rob Hearn are really good experience number 1 and 2s for Munster and Ulster, and Rob Hearn was the regular number 2 before Ronan Gallagher came in, and he's already injured, so that's where I would go. I would have Dave Kilcoyne on number 1, number 2, so you can bring on Keane Healy and Dan Sheehan off from the bench to still bring that impact. I think that's where I like to see Ireland go, in my opinion. And I think tomorrow we're going to get an idea of how Ireland will line up. And I don't know when the English squad will line up, but I think that's what I'll go for. I want Ireland to actually show up at Twickenham and really put in a really good match overall. I think that. Would you expect that from England as well? That if you pick the right players, that you'll get something out of the game?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this league team, it's quite clear that we want to be. We've watched that first game back where Ireland's line speed in defence was phenomenal. So it looks like we want to add a little bit of pace around the park so that we can be a little bit more mobile, use a bit of extra width, try and get on the outside of that blitz in defence. Looks to be the tactic if this squad is their starting 15. But yeah, I mean, and again, Ireland have, that 15 you've come up with there is pretty much that blitz attack, that blitz defense, looking to come after 10, put some pressure on it, and get some territory.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a good one. I just feel that if we see it at one of those poor games, like if we see, I don't want to see that. I want to see a good high performance because this will lead into round 5. Like England will be going to France in the last round, and they'll hopefully want to fight someone for it. Ireland won't get the win because they'll have Scotland at home in the last round with potential not only title but a triple crown could potentially be held in Dublin that weekend if we get past the line against England. So, yeah, like I said, there's a lot to play for here, and I think me and Rugby Geeks are very, very excited. Heading into Saturday, and it's going to be, I can't wait for it. And just remind you guys, not only that, there'll be Ulster versus Leinster after that match. I'll be at Kingspan Stadium, so make sure to keep an eye out for the channel. There'll be a preview very soon on the channel, so make sure to watch out for that. So, just the last question before we wrap up here, mate.
Sure.
Score predictions. What's your score prediction?
This is going to cut me deep. You're going to do me dirty in front of my English brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, right. So, looking at performances, Ireland at home against Wales, phenomenal. Unquestionably, like, pissed all over Wales. They made them look like old Pisporians.
I think if Brandon Smith was stream, I don't think you're going to be happy. But this is your stream. I know he doesn't like.
He can take it.
Yeah, he can take it.
He can take it.
He's got broad like you said, they're very poor, weren't they?
I mean, they lacked everything in that game. And then go over to France. Like I say, you can't really count the Italy game. That's not showing us anything really.
No, it's very poor.
Which is a shame, but it is what it is. You go over to France, and you lost a bit of that line speed, lost a bit of that extra energy that you get from a Dublin crowd. So it kind of brings the game a bit closer together. But I'm going with the bookies here. Rugby Forecast has got it at Ireland by 1 point. So I'm gonna. I had it a little further apart by that, but I'll go Ireland by 8.
You go Ireland by 8, but the bookies by 1. Oh my god! See if it's a 1 point game. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be a wild ending. I don't think I'll be able to cope.
No.
My
stream will be going nuts.
Yeah. I know, but my prediction is goodness me, it's gonna be one of them games. It's gonna be very tight, isn't it? England are gonna show up, aren't they? So I'm gonna go for an Ireland 25 win to 19 win. We're gonna win it by 6 points.
I thought you were going for a 25-point win. Then I was going, settle yourself.
No. Unlike 2018, this is gonna be so close. I just know it. I've seen it before 100%. In the past, mate. I've seen it before in the past. We never make it easy. It's fucking, but it can go either way. I think that's what's good about this year. I think hopefully Aaron show up. That's all I'm hoping for. And let's hope for a good game. On Saturday.
Absolutely.
So, thank you guys very much for watching this stream ahead of the big England versus Ireland clash. Big up to Rugby Geeks. Make sure to give him a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. He's doing some wonderful things.
Thanks for having me.
Covering English Premier Rugby.
Make
sure. Yeah. Oh yes, URC as well. Pick up the English for covering the URC for Wales, Scotland, and Irish games. We definitely need the hype as well.
I mean, it's all about the love. Share the love.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, things from Irish Rugby. Look, Ulster versus Leicester match preview will be coming very soon. Make sure to stay tuned for that. So apart from that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.